Once again, folks, hey, good evening. This is the Reverend here with
The Theme here.
and
Mouse one.
yep, and this is our third video of the night. And once again, three middle-aged dudes just bullshitting about nothing. All right, and in a little departure to away from the geek stuff. Well, it still involves technology and everything else.
Yeah, it does.
And it still involves our special brand of scathing social commentary. We are going to go ahead and discuss basically the ongoing battle between Apple and the FBI. All right. If you are not familiar with what's going on, basically what had happened back on, let's see here. Basically, a little while ago, there were 14 people killed by two quote-unquote homegrown terrorists in San Bernardino. 14 people were killed. I believe 27 more were injured at a mass shooting at a social center in San Bernardino. The shooters were a couple, and of the things that they had found on the shooter's possession, one was actually an iPhone that was owned by one of the terrorists. And what is going on currently in the news, and also during the investigation, the FBI has gone out of their way to ask Apple to circumvent their own security measures on the iPhone and make it available to them so that they can go ahead and crack in and look through all of the iPhone's data for investigative purposes. All right. Now, the thing about this particular situation is that it's being presented as an either-or type scenario. The FBI is saying, hey, look, we're doing this for national security. We're doing this for safety. In order to go ahead and give us the ability to secure that for everybody out there, you have to go ahead and give up a little bit of your privacy, all right? Or a little bit of the ability to go ahead and lock away certain things as far as keeping things private on your digital device. With Apple, by principle, if I was just going to go ahead and give you the 2-minute summary of it, they're saying that no, by the way, if we go ahead and do this, not only do we create a lot of technological issues for ourselves and all of our users, but you're really asking potentially everybody out there who's going to be using an iOS device to basically sign away their privacy to the FBI and go ahead and be willing at any time to go ahead and give that up, whether they know it or not, if they decide to go ahead and cave into the FBI's demands. All right. And the thing is that Apple isn't the only company out there who's gone out of their way and said that, there are issues with this. Google, who, by the way, spies on you already, all right?
Yeah.
Has supported them. Let's see here. Most of the big social media websites, most of the software companies actually out there are going out of their way to sit there and support Apple. Surprisingly, Microsoft isn't. But then again, we already know they're embedded with the NSA. Yeah, it's basically a big either or. Well, it's set up. It's a big clusterfuck, and I don't think people are paying attention to it as much as they should, or neither have they actually, jumped it and looked into the details behind it. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, I like to say this, is that if Apple does allow the FBI to do this, to me, it opens up a big can of worms that don't need to be opened up. It's just, we read in the article that it's gonna be labor intensive for Apple to write code. It's basically what you got to do is you're gonna have to write new code and then have the users, agree to those terms that under certain circumstances that that the FBI can request, private information, personal information from you in certain cases.
Here's the basic issue with all this that I have. The FBI and the police departments are already doing this. So to totally X this one out is garbage to me to a certain extent. Let's look at this. The FBI has a court order here. They have a warrant here to actually do this. They're not saying that, okay, we just want to look through everybody's shit. They want, okay, and Apple is saying that the technology doesn't exist. We don't have this, but you're asking us to create something in order to crack something open that shouldn't be happening. But let's look at the cases of, let's look at the scenarios that can come about. Terrorism, terrorist attacks, someone running amok. These terrorists, or, you know, I'm not sure if they're actual terrorists, but these people are dead. Privacy is not an issue here. Personal records can be looked at, period. If you have the right order, if you have the right connections, if you have the right standards. Even if you're investigating a murder, this can happen. They can go and basically dig up any personal information that they can come with in order to prove someone's innocence, prove someone's guilt. They can do this, and they've already been doing it. When someone gets arrested, by the way, the police department automatically can go through your phone. They can automatically do that. They have the phone in their possession. They'll go through your text messages. They'll call your phone company. They'll actually pull up your information and actually pull up your records. This is already happening. So as far as the ramifications, as far as saying, okay, we don't want them to invade our privacy. It's like, okay, what privacy here? You're on social media already. Most people's dirty laundry is being aired out on Facebook, on Twitter, YouTube even. This with a cellular phone, it's like, look, again, in a certain situation, let's say another terrorist attack does happen, and next thing you know, oh, these people were connected to those terrorists that you know did that bullshit in San Bernardino. Well,
the thing is, I understand what you're saying, Theme, but on the in the article it says that and I quote, the FBI requests for Apple to write new software to defeat password protections and on phone violates the company's free speech and due process rights.
That's bullshit.
The argument that they're saying is that they consider this as free speech. It depends on how the judge sees it. If they see it as free speech.
If you have a search warrant, if there's a warrant to go through your house, your privacy is null and void at that point, if they're looking for something specific.
Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second. I'm also gonna inject another detail that maybe we haven't touched yet. Specifically, what the FBI is asking from Apple isn't just to go ahead and unlock one phone. What they're asking for is a piece of software that will allow them to go ahead and defeat the feature on the no, not all passwords. Basically, every iOS device from iOS 8 and above, all right? If you put in your password and you get it wrong 10 times, okay, it makes it so that it deletes all of the encrypted data on the phone. The data is already encrypted, all right? What they are looking for, what they are specifically asking for, is a tool to defeat that particular measure, all right? Now, that tool, as a tool to defeat that particular measure, doesn't, once it's theirs, it's no longer confined to one phone. Neither is it confined to one use, neither is it confined to one instance, all right? And this is where it really starts getting sticky, okay? I understand Apple is trying their best to go ahead and protect their interests. Let's not beat around the bush with that, okay? They don't want to go ahead and be forced to cook up, you know, and code a brand new tool for something else that's going to cause them to re-engineer, reconstruct all of their operating systems going forward. Okay. But
Reverend, what I have the problem with all this is as simple as this. I'm sorry to cut you off. Is the fact that, yes, I understand that we do need to crack phones that are terrorists that did, these crazy, heinous acts. I understand that. But what's going to stop the FBI from just doing it to anybody that they, quote unquote, suspect that they're terrorists? They're not guilty of being terrorists. I understand that this couple did what they did. I understand that. But what about those people that have not done nothing wrong at all, but without a shadow of a doubt, the FBI think that a particular group or whatever has the potential to be terrorists. And that's where I said, like you said, with the stickiness, I am 100% against that. I believe that you're innocent until you're proven guilty, or you do some heinous crime that it's obvious that you're the guilty party. You know what I mean? But I don't think that the FBI should have that powerful software just to crack somebody's phone just because they want to crack the phone.
Well,
that's where I draw the line.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that are going on here. Number one, we know the folks who are owning the phone. Yeah, they're pretty much guilty, and they're dead now as a result. Okay,
yeah.
I don't think anybody's really going ahead and actually arguing whether or not the information on the phone may be relevant. Okay, I'm not going to argue that fact, because guess what? It may be very, very relevant. As Dean said, there might be, who knows? Maybe they've got a club. Maybe there's supposed to be a regular meetup someplace that they can find out about. I don't know. I don't want to make light of the situation, but as far as it goes, part of the Fifth Amendment is, one of those things. It's not only the right to privacy, but it's also the right to due process. Okay, where you have to go out of the way to get a court order. All right. The problem with making the piece of software that the FBI wants from Apple is that it's a dangerous tool. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, as somebody who's worked in software development, guess what? If the FBI isn't going to have it, or Apple isn't going to develop it, somebody out there is trying to develop this.
Yes.
Somebody out there is going to have it. Okay.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, without a fucking doubt. Okay. And the thing about that is that once they have that in their hand, the problem with any sort of backdoor software is that once you open that up, that shit opens, it pretty much stays open forever. All right.
Well, one thing too is we're forgetting is this. It says on the website again, it says, what's the FBI's argument? And I quote, the FBI request relies heavily on the All Rights Act, a U.S. law dating back to the 1700s, allowing courts to issue all rights necessary or appropriate in aid of the retrospective jurisdictions and agreeable to the usages and principles of law. Basically, go ahead.
Basically, what that is that it's basically an old act that says, hey, look, if you're carrying out something in the name of law enforcement or whatnot, we're going to go ahead and give you carte blanche to go out of your way to do whatever you want. Basically, the lawmakers or the law executors, they have more rights than the criminals that they're going after. All right, that's kind of what it says.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't always work that way in execution,
no.
Right?
But does, honestly?
Yeah, but
that's true.
My big concern is that you sit there, you something like this is gonna be out there sooner or later. All right, if Apple themselves doesn't make it, somebody else will. All right,
and then you will have it in the wrongest hands.
The problem
I think
that I have,
that's the wrong hands anyway.
Yeah, the problem that I have with the government having this is that it's another one of those precedents that just kind of once it's set and you can't
undo it.
Yeah, you can't undo it. Like for the sake of security and everybody's safety, the TSA was created. The Homeland
Absolutely.
Security Act was put in place. But
that doesn't even work. The TSA, that doesn't even work.
What has happened as a result was that not only has airfare gone up tremendously to cover TSA expenses, all right, the actual act of traveling via airport or airline has become not only tedious and difficult, but it's become downright, unpleasurable for most people.
Well,
Right?
I mean, in all honesty, the TSA was put in place, after, the 9/11 and all that good stuff. Has it made America, has it really made us more safe? You still get these terrorists that obviously use the airport. You can't single somebody out in that long line, and say that guy's a potential terrorist.
It's funny because most people that get singled out for inspections or searching or whatever are Americans.
Yeah.
Yep. Or very busty females.
Absolutely.
You think I'm kidding?
I know you're not kidding.
That's the damn truth.
That is absolutely true.
So the
amount of stuff that has been stolen by the TSA, because they got that authority to open up your luggage. You can't even lock your luggage.
Wait. You can't even put locks on your luggage.
That's what I said.
Yep.
So it's false security. Now, to get back on the Apple, right? The Apple's First Amendment argument, it says the company points to several court cases where judges have considered code as a form of speech. It's a violation of the First Amendment to force speech, the company's lawyers argue. In Apple's Fifth Amendment argument, the due process claims are a bit tougher to follow. But they go like this. The Fifth Amendment protects U.S. residents against the government taking away their liberty. The requested order would require Apple to do the government's bidding in a way that's burdensome and violates Apple's core principles.
Yeah. You see, the main thing about it is, and I understand where people are coming from in this regard. They don't want anything to be created and then be taken way too far or be taken way out of context by the FBI.
And it will.
Or the government.
And that's where the flip side of the argument is coming in. I do understand where both sides are coming from. So I don't want anybody trying to take me as the wrong way. But what I am saying is this. The FBI, if they were to have this power, they should, or the government should be having this power. They shouldn't be abusing it. But as far as the people, they're like, if the government does have that power, they will abuse it. So fuck that. They should not be able to do that.
And look, I work for the government, and I have worked for the government, as you have.
Yes.
Theme, and once, the people that run the government are human. They're corrupt. They're corrupt to the core.
But the thing about it is, it's a fucked up coin to be flipping.
It is. It is.
On one side, you're trying to claim righteousness, and on the other side, you're trying to claim righteousness. But both sides have intentions of doing bullshit.
Both sides. The whole coin is you're a loser.
It's really not a coin. If you think about it, all it is it's a lump of shit is what it is. All right. Yeah. And dealing with that, it's going to be messy and it's going to be stinky, and a lot of people are going to get things all over their faces and hands. And unless they're fans of Two Girls in One Cup, a lot of people ain't going to like it. That's just how it is. All right.
No.
What really, like I said earlier, what really gets me is the fact that you're going to be persecuting the innocent. That already happened.
But that's what I was saying earlier. That already happened.
It does, but it's going to happen, I think, on a larger scale.
People get condemned for what they say. Okay, wait. You have people condemned for what they've been saying, and it was already in the privacy of their own homes. And they got out, and then people are still being judged and persecuted for things anyway. Well,
you had that Canadian that got thrown in jail for disagreeing on Twitter.
Right.
Well, I think what everybody has to sit there and kind of weigh out is, okay, do you give the government a potential big gun, all right, or a big tool to go ahead and sniff around anywhere they want? Because once they have it, who knows where they're going to put it?
If Hillary gets into office, that's going to happen.
Well, I mean, actually, what's funny is that I think the government is interested in it regardless of who's in office. All right?
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
The software is being made as we speak right now. If it's not made, if Apple refuses, the government's going to hire some big contractor. I'm serious. That's the way the government works.
Well, what's funny is that John McAfee of
oh my God, here we go.
Who created McAfee antivirus and everything else.
Yep.
The guy who's also got an FBI case pending against him, offered that he would go ahead and he would crack that thing open. He would take his team of people and they would crack it open, and for free. And he said that it would take him 3 weeks. I think he's just going ahead and he's asking for bargaining chips.
That's pretty much what I'm thinking. Absolutely.
So, I mean, he can go back to, ODing on bath salts by shoving them up his ass and, running around and fucking, the Caribbean someplace, playing Russian roulette by, like, fucking Haitian, fucking whores or whatnot. I don't give a fuck about him. That when he showed up in the picture, I was like, I already know where you're coming from, dude. All right.
He's just trying to bargaining out of his problems.
He's in enough trouble with the government as it is.
Well, see, I mean, on like Theme was saying, I understand the other side of the coin. Now, don't think I'm against. I mean, I understand you got to protect. I mean, in all honesty, I think that the code, if it's given to the FBI, I think that the code will be used for good. It will. But
I still say that's bullshit.
I'm
calling bullshit on both ends here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But there are those in the FBI that would abuse that. Just like, the Reverend said, that's a big fucking gun.
Yeah.
That's nowhere. And
there's no winning.
For the government to be able to crack open any device, Android, iOS.
They can already track us through our phones.
Google already records everything. I mean,
no doubt.
If people really want to be afraid of a corporation or something else,
be afraid of Google.
Just consider this: NASA, the NSA, National Security Agency, they are jealous of what Google has. Okay, think about that for a moment. All right.
You see, this is almost as reminiscent as 2013 of what Microsoft tried to pull off with the Xbox One. In a lot of circumstances, and a lot of people didn't see. A lot of people were trying to argue the flip side of it. Well, it was going to be a good idea, and everybody was like, "No, you're trying to restrict our rights here."
Well, what really got people up in arms was the Kinect when they heard that
exactly
it's 24 hours on. And that really upset people.
Because it's like, wait a minute, you want this camera on, is this infrared camera on that I won't even fucking use?
It is infrared.
Have it, and it always has to be connected to the internet? Why?
Yeah. With mine.
What if they made a cell phone that you couldn't turn off the internet on it and you have your fucking camera on?
Well, with me, I own the Xbox One, right? And the Kinect. Now,
I feel sorry for you.
Ever since, that's a
your Kinect broke.
Let me finish.
Policy was still in place.
Correct. Let me finish. Now, I did buy it. I did buy it when at launch, and my Kinect actually
pre-ordered it.
But anyway, the point that I'm making is that because the Kinect and the Xbox One, I just let that go over. The Kinect and Xbox One.
Yeah, you're like a feminist.
With the required, on all 24 hours. Thank God that Microsoft actually did away with that. But
that would have been suicide if they would have kept that.
There's a device that I have on my Kinect right now that covers up the camera. Even though the Xbox One is on, but it actually flips over the camera part of the Xbox One. And I have it on my device right now.
It's the funniest thing about it is that shouldn't even be fucking necessary.
You're right. But, I understand what Microsoft was doing. I guess I understand.
But it was less benefit. There were too many liabilities and there were hardly any assets. And that's what this situation with the FBI.
Absolutely.
It's like, look, I don't agree.
Nope.
Cracking shit open for them to be using just because.
Yeah.
Now, if they use it and if they use it properly, but that's not what people are worried about.
The problem with that,
the government abusing the fuck out of it.
I think this falls in perfectly. You know, with Stan Lee and the Spider-Man. With great power comes what?
Great responsibility, but this is America.
Absolutely.
And motherfuckers are afraid of responsibility for their own actions.
Well, the problem is this, is that, you know, if the FBI has this tool, it's going to be abused. I mean,
and I agree with that 100%.
Just no.
And that's the problem.
And there's going to be a lot of people going to jail for no reason.
Well, that already happens, but this will magnify that.
Oh yeah.
And this is the thing that counters what I said earlier, because I understand both sides. I'm like, look, you have the situation where they want to crack this shit open in order to find, whoever they were talking to or whoever they're friends with,
the hidden cells,
and all this. But if the government has this fucking power, they will abuse it. Next thing you know, they'll be using it just for regular Americans that just want to have fun or just do adult shit or just live their own fucking lives.
Next thing you know, you're gonna hear
from everything is like, no. So from both sides, it's all fucked up. Well, both sides won't want to use this properly.
Yeah, I mean, I am not in favor at all of expanding the amount of powers and the scope of what the government has. You know, what they can hold over me. I'm not a big proponent of that, whether it be the government or any big corporation. Right? You know, whether it's the FBI, Apple, Google, Microsoft, hell,
Sony.
You know, it's just one of those things where it's really, really sticky. I can see the need to go ahead and get the data off that phone. All right, let's just be honest. Everybody nowadays, pretty much their whole lives
are on that phone.
To their phones.
That's true.
You know, a lot more than they might even know or admit to having on their phones. But I can't in good faith believe that, by creating a piece of software, all right, going out of your way and handing the government a tool that'll go ahead and circumvent the security and encryption of, protocols on that particular iOS is gonna stay as something benign.
So let me ask you a question. If, just in this case, right, if the FBI gives the phone to Apple and just tell Apple to do it, and then give the phone back to the FBI,
that will still present a lot of dangers as well. Because
absolutely, absolutely, and I agree.
Because like Apple said, the technology to crack that shit open does not exist. They will have to totally create something from the ground up, and it has to be.
I think that's bullshit.
And as the Reverend pointed out, once it's out there, it's out there.
The thing is, I actually think it exists already.
I think it exists already too.
I don't disagree with that either.
Yeah, I existed already.
And
I'm pretty sure it exists.
What kills me? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure that it exists within the hollowed halls of Apple. All right. But what they don't want to do is that they don't want to sit there and kind of cave in to this
and acknowledge,
and acknowledge it, because what happened is that then all of a sudden you have Apple labeled as, hey, look, these are the guys who are willing to go ahead and bow down to whoever asks to go ahead and
here's the flip side of that, though. They don't cave. Either something so fucked up will happen that eventually they will, or all ISIS members are just going to buy iPhones.
See, the thing is this. It's simple.
Like they all run around Toyota trucks?
The thing is with this is that, I'm a full believer that Apple has that code already done. It's there, but they don't want to acknowledge that it's there, and by giving the big government access to that type of thing, it's bad all around. I mean, I understand that the government wants to do the right thing. I mean, who knows what's on that phone? It may be, the cells that the government's been looking for.
But that's the thing about it is, they got certain pieces of information, but they wanted more. They wanted to go further within.
Yeah.
That's just the main thing. It's not the fact that they haven't collected any information at all, but they want to go further.
The government don't care about at what cost, at the cost of privacy. But now, if Apple, if like the Reverend said, if this code exists at Apple already, aren't they kind of breaking their own the policies and the privacy policies that they have in place?
No. The thing is that as far as their policies goes, I think the software exists. It's just not an active component within their operating system. All right.
Somebody wrote whoever writes those codes is.
I don't know any good programmer who makes persistent operating systems or whatnot that doesn't know how to.
There's always a backdoor.
That doesn't have to. There's got to be some sort of recovery tool. All right.
Oh, you can look at this. You can look at Bungie when they owned Halo. At first, the code for Bungie, right, and for Halo, they didn't add code to where they can actually modify the game modes and stuff. But eventually, they grew up and they learned how to make code within the code to modify that code, and that's what I'm saying that Apple has.
What's funny is that originally Halo was supposed to be an iOS game.
Yeah, I know. That's why I kind of brought it up.
Yeah. And then it ended up on the Xbox. Microsoft went ahead and did what they did. Along with the same thing, they decided to go ahead and try to bundle this a surveillance device with the Xbox One. Unfortunately, that ended up with a lot of Xbox One owners not being able to game raw, so they have to go ahead and put condoms on their Kinect now.
Yes, sir.
Privacy and protection.
But anyway, it just goes to, the point that I was making was that no matter what code, the programmer has already encoded in the code on how to backdoor the code. I hate that word, but so for Apple to stand there and say that this stuff don't exist, they're just blowing steam up people's ass. And I'm sorry, they have.
It may not be.
No, they have code to do it.
If not directly for that, probably tools that will enable something to do that.
Absolutely,
I agree with that.
Absolutely.
No.
So this is a big double-edged sword here.
So as gamers, we need to watch this because.
You have an iPhone. I don't.
I do.
People in general, they need to pay attention to this stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. People in general need to look at this and actually open their eyes to shit like this. And don't you see, that's the thing about it. A lot of people just instantly make a decision. They don't let every idea swirl in their head. They don't actually come up with both sides of the story and come up with an understanding as to why there's even an argument in the first place.
Have you guys noticed that here recently in the last 10 years that the Bill of Rights has really come under attack? I mean, all of them.
Well, look, a lot of things that are invented now,
all of them have really hit the front lines. It seems like they just want to take away the Bill of Rights.
Well, that's because there are a lot of things that are coming up now that totally wasn't relevant to the amendments of the Constitution.
Well, I think that they need to be updated. A lot of the Bill of Rights was written way back when
a lot of people need to follow them. First of all, a lot of people don't even know they're amendments.
I'm not. Wait. What I'm saying is, I know they exist, and I know what they mean, but they need to be brought to the modern, because the way I interpret the Bill of Rights may not be the way you interpret the Bill of Rights. You know what I mean? It's not an all-inclusive reading by text. It is text, but I mean, the way the government reads the Bill of Rights.
You have a right to freedom of speech, but if you say "fuck you" to a kid, there will be an issue.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
You know, not to go ahead and jump into open up another can of worms that we don't have time to cover with what's left on this. But, you know, the thing about the Bill of Rights is that one of the reasons why it's so important to this country and why it's so important to even now is that basically it's the first part of the Constitution, basically the framework of the American government that goes out and spells, hey, you, big government, the guys in charge, this is the shit that you cannot
do. Yeah, right.
All right. And the problem with a lot of people saying that one is more important than the other, one needs to be updated. No, this is no longer relevant. Is the fact that once one falls,
they're all going
they're going to collapse.
Absolutely.
Oh, right. God.
Absolutely. I agree.
No.
Oh God, people want to get rid of their free speech.
Yeah. Or
shut up, you have free speech. What?
You know.
No, they were signing away the First Amendment at a college at Yale.
Yep.
They were signing a petition to take away their First Amendment. How fucking retarded can you be?
The First Amendment covers 5 things.
Yeah. Let me stop. I'm just going to get more aggravated and talk about it.
That's another thing. Again, ladies and gentlemen, anybody who's entertained this for this long, for near 40 minutes, it's not a clear-cut issue.
No, it's not.
Like I said, this is kind of a big ball of shit. People need to pay attention to how this works out, you know?
And then, you know, don't be one-sided on this.
Nope,
Look at it both ways.
Can't do it. Nope.
Unfortunately,
don't be a feminist.
And that's the problem that a lot of people are. They're not trying to look at the other side and trying to actually come together and actually come with some sort of compromise. They're just one-sided on an issue, and that's it. And that's one of the main problems with this.
Yep. And that's just not going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about it. If both sides would meet in the middle, then they will be absolutely fine. But as we know, the government's not going to go working their way in the middle. No,
they're not paid to think anymore.
No,
they're not paid to think. And Apple, they need to look out for their interests. I understand that.
And
you know, with that, your comments below. Hit subscribe below. If there's anything we missed, go ahead and type it out.
We all welcome debate. We all welcome comments. We all welcome conversations.
None of our comments, none of our ratings.
We're never going to Sarkeesian our YouTube.
No.
With that, this is the Reverend.
This is the theme here.
And this is Gray Mouse 1.
And we'll see you later.
We're exercising our freedom of speech. Pizza and tacos for everyone.
Hey, you guys are not going to be going to Espacio's Tacos Locos.